They say you can't be bitter and rational at the same time. It is impossible, especially in politics, because bitterness is going to cloud your judgment. Most of the decisions you are going to make will not be based on facts, they will be based on emotions. And this is so true when you look at how Rigathi Gachagua behaves. If somebody asked you today, what is Gachagua's goal? The only political goal he has. What would you say it is? Let's not even guess. Gachagua, Rigathi, is on record explaining this and repeating it 1,000 times. Gachagua's goal is to remove Ruto from office. Whether it is now, before 2027, through the use of the so-called Gen Zs, okay? If that is possible, amen for him. If he can't, he wants to defeat and humiliate Ruto at the ballot come 2027. Now, Gachagua knows that the bitterness of Kikuyus alone cheering him in some markets in Murang'a is not enough to defeat William Ruto. Why? Because you see that Kikuyu vote, William Ruto is going for it. William Ruto is not going to say, oh, I'm not going to bother with Kikuyu vote. No, we have all learned one interesting reality, that when Kikuyus don't have a viable candidate of their own, they can divide their votes. And that is what we saw in 2022. For the first time, we were seeing Kikuyus voting for Raila up to close to 1 million votes. And that means they can divide their votes. So William Ruto is going to go for the Kikuyu votes. That you can take to the bank. And chances are he can really get a significant number. Not the majority, maybe not the majority votes, but he can still get a sizable number from the Kikuyu. There are Kikuyus who will wake up in the morning and vote for William Ruto. And so Rigathi knows that he cannot depend on the bitterness of Kikuyus alone and chanting of one term to get rid of Ruto. He needs a team. And so he went ahead and wooed the likes of Kalonzo, the likes of Matiang'i, Eugene, Natembeya, and the likes, and formed what they call today a united opposition as a team whose only dedication is to ensure William Ruto is one term. Everything up to that point is okay. Now, here is where the problem begins. And I told you, you can't be bitter and rational at the same time. You will have to make silly decisions. Rigathi Gachagua, even though he knows things are against him, even though he knows the law, decides that he is now vying for president. That he is not just a kingmaker, like he said before. No, he's changed his mind. Remember, Rigathi Gachagua went to Kambani just a few days after he was impeached, and in a church said that they have endorsed Kalonzo Musyoka. In fact, to quote him, he said, the title deed will be at Wamunyoro, the title deed of their victory, but they have endorsed, as Watu wa Mlima, they have endorsed one Kalonzo Musyoka. In fact, they went ahead and said now Kambas were part of Gema and Kambas were their cousins. You see, Kalonzo had already been endorsed. Now, Rigathi Gachagua has decided that he is now vying. And wherever he goes, he tells people why he is the most qualified among the opposition leaders. And not just that, he is looking down upon them when he says this. He is not hiding. You know how Rigathi Gachagua talks. He doesn't hide his condescending attitude towards the other members. He is persuaded that Kalonzo has only few Kamba votes. He is persuaded Matiang'i may be lucky to get the few Kisii votes. And of course, the likes of Eugene and Natembeya don't even have a following of their own. So, Rigathi says, in the politics of reality, I am the most qualified, and I should therefore be endorsed. This is what we are going to look at. Is Rigathi destroying the opposition by being unnecessarily selfish? Ladies and gentlemen, if that is something you are interested in, continue watching. And if you do find value in our videos, please consider subscribing. And don't forget to like this particular video. You see, the first question that comes to mind when you hear Rigathi Gachagua saying he's vying for president, he's the most qualified, when you give me a chance, the question that comes to your mind is, why would somebody who was impeached be talking about vying for president in 2027? I'll tell you why. Rigathi Gachagua lives in a world of his own. And in this world of his own, he is a superman. He's a superhuman being. Things that affect other people don't affect him. Laws that apply to other people don't apply to him. And somehow, he is not just a kingpin. He is actually a beloved of the entire country, the beloved of the entire country. The other day, he was doing an interview with CBN, and you would really laugh. He said, when he was asked why he's vying for president, he said that he is vying for president not because he wants to. Kenyans from all over are the ones who are putting pressure on him to vie and save them. Yes, he said that. You can find the video, the interview, and watch it, CBN. And if that is a slip of the tongue, he repeated that in Murang'a, that Kenyans from all over have demanded that advice. So he was asking the people of Murang'a not to let him down because other Kenyans are already behind him. I was telling you that in Rigathi's world, he is doing absolutely well and things are working seamlessly. Remember when he went to the media before he was impeached, he told William Ruto that he had two choices: withdraw the impeachment so that there is peace, or impeach him and see the country fall into chaos. He was even categorical that there will be infightings in Rift Valley. When he was impeached overwhelmingly, nothing happened. Instead of embracing that reality, he came up with a reason why nothing happened, why there was no war. The other day, this guy moves to the US. The visit is hyped. You would think US has millions of voters. He goes to US, is there for a month. All he does is jump from one Kikuyu event to the other and achieved very little. He had to cut short his stay there and come back. Instead of just coming back as an ordinary Kenyan, no, he wouldn't do that. He wants to make his return be the biggest thing in Africa. Yet when he came, he found a handful of people. Ladies and gentlemen, the man lives in an alternate world. That is why he is actually persuaded that even though he's impeached, he can still vie. And he's making his supporters believe that it is normal for him. The likes of Sonko, Waititu, those ones can't vie because they were impeached. Impeached leaders can't vie anywhere. But Rigathi Gachagua is telling his followers that because I'm a special breed, because I'm somebody different, I am going to vie. And not just that, I am going to win. And if I don't win, he had made that very clear on Obina, if I don't win, if Ruto is announced the president, then whatever happened in 2007 will be like Christmas party. This country is plunging into war. Why would he say that? Because at the back of his mind, this man is persuaded that he is loved by all Kenyans. There is no way Kenyans can elect Ruto again. And if that happened, it has to be rigging. I have explained to you why he is vying. He is persuaded he is not impeached. He can vie. Even if he was impeached, he's a special breed who cannot be stopped by mere laws and regulations or the constitution. That can't stop him. He has to vie. And he believes that if he makes it normal to his supporters that he is the candidate, then there would be chaos should the court stop him or should IBC refuse to take his papers. There would be chaos. That is what Rigathi Gachagua is hoping for. But how is this working for his main objective. Remember, we said he has an objective. The objective is not to vie as president. It's not to do so much. It's just to make sure Ruto is not re-elected. And it doesn't matter who. What Rigathi wants is to show Ruto that without me, you cannot make it. Now that Rigathi Gachagua is all over declaring himself the better candidate, the best candidate, even doing interviews about what he will do for the country, going to churches saying, this is what I want to do. My agenda is to pull down all the affordable houses that have been built, etc. And he says, I am the most qualified candidate among these people. This team, there is none of them who can compete with me. Yet, all these other members, none of them has gone on top of a vehicle and said that they were the best candidate. In this group of the united opposition, so-called, Kalonzo is not on top of vehicles saying, I am better than Rigathi. No. You've not seen Matiang'i on top of another vehicle saying, I'm better than Kalonzo. No. According to them, they are hoping that they are united until 2027 so that as a united force, they can remove William Ruto. But the guy who brought them together, the guy who depends entirely on them to have a fighting chance against Ruto come 2027, is all over saying these people are not my match. And as if that is not enough, members of his entourage get on top of vehicles and say that the likes of Matiang'i came to reap where they did not sow. So they are looking down upon the same people they want to help them get a revenge against William Ruto. And that takes me to what I was telling you. You can't be bitter and rational at the same time. You will find yourself doing things that are working against you. I saw it happen during the handshake government, when now the Uhuru team would be doing things that were now inciting people against them as opposed to making Ruto look bad. Because they were bitter. Bitterness doesn't allow you to have clarity. And because you don't have clarity, you will just jump into things. And Rigathi currently is shooting himself in the foot. But he doesn't care. Because as far as he's concerned, he's doing the right thing. When you go and tell people that you are better than Kalonzo Musyoka, yet you are an impeached leader. When you tell people that you are better than Matiang'i, yet you are somebody who has been impeached, who knows very well he can't vie, and you have a team of people who are behind you, and they are singing, and they are chanting, and they are saying, you are our president. When you had already endorsed Kalonzo, you had gone and endorsed Kalonzo. And that's why Kalonzo was standing with you through thick and thin. Now you are saying those Kalonzo and others do not even match. They are not even compete. They are not even in your league. So when you do all this and then later you go to the meeting and you sit down and you are like, oh, we are brothers, we are united. How long do you think this thing will work? And that is why, ladies and gentlemen, I think this so-called united opposition is just a divided opposition thanks to Rigathi's grit. I believe I've answered the question. Is Rigathi destroying his only chance of getting back at Ruto by just being unnecessarily selfish? And the answer is a big yes. This man doesn't know when to stop. And now that William Ruto has realized that he has a short fuse, for lack of a better term, a short fuse, he gets really worked up. William Ruto just on a light note saying that, you see, I had one deputy who used to say he's not gone to school. Now I have a professor. Wow. Rigathi goes on top of a vehicle, organizes a rally. He's shouting, he's calling Ruto all names, etc. So now that they have realized his short fuse, they'll just be making some small jokes here, and Rigathi will be calling press conference. He will be crying, he will be worked up. Okay? He is bitter, and he also doesn't have what we call control. He can say anything. He doesn't know what not to say. Now he's sabotaging his own team. The only team that can help him at least have a fighting chance at revenge, is now fighting them. He doesn't care. In his imaginary world, the entire Kenya is dying to have Rigathi as their president. You wonder, where does he get that? But then if you are Rigathi Gachagua and you live in a world of your own, it's understandable that you will believe that every Kenyan is dying to have you as their president. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you found value in this video. If you did, let me know in the comment section. Let us engage. And don't forget to like and share this video with friends. Otherwise, if you want to know what is likely to bring Rigathi Gachagua down, watch this video.